Rādhā, Rādhā. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, I am here in Dallas, Texas, and I am doing some events here in town. I'll be here for the next couple weeks. I've got some events in Fort Worth and a few in northern Dallas. They're on Eventbrite, BhaktiYogaMonk, and they are on Meetup as well. So there's a Meetup group, and each time I move to a different town, I add the events to that Meetup group as well. So let's see. The books are out. They're all done. I haven't done any blog posts for a little bit because I've been working on getting those finished up. But the first book is out. The workbook that goes with it is also out. And the second book that goes right behind the first is out as well. Those are available on Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com, Target, Amazon. Just put in Bhakti Yoga Monk, all one word, no spaces. And it'll bring up all the different options on those. And feel free to check those out. That's super helpful. Any feedback on those is also super helpful. So, yeah. All right, so here we go. We got to blog entry 165 from February 8th of 2025. So here's what's really great about this blog entry, right? So this was where I just got my first idea of doing these little events in towns and connecting with people some. The temples, I still wasn't really successful in connecting in the temples, just a lot of like a gap in my cultural understanding and how to do that. But when I reached out to like metaphysical shops and yoga studios and healing centers and event spaces and things like that, it was more receptive to doing like guided meditation and kirtan music, which has been really nice. They've been really receptive and loving people. So the first event was at a shop in Phoenix called Your Cosmic Connection. And it's an amazing group of people, an amazing place, and absolutely worth visiting for sure. And on Fridays, they do coffee talk. And they go and it'll be a group of like 30, 40, 50 people. And they'll touch on different topics and do different exercises and things like that. Just like soulful exercises and spiritual growth exercises. It's really a great space. It's really cool to see. So when I went there, there was about 20 or 30 people at the first gathering that I went to. They were super warm, nice, had really great questions, and they took up like a love offering and a donation to help my travels and things. And for it to be my first experience talking in front of a group in this way, it was just really supportive and amazing. It was really incredible. And so the same day, I scheduled another event at a yoga studio across town in Scottsdale. And it's called Namaste Yoga. Also an amazing place and lovely people. And it was really cool. It was their grand opening event. And what was interesting is I just came back through Scottsdale at the same time. And I was there at the same day for the same event. But this was their like 1 year celebration event because they had been open a whole year. And then apparently there's another monk that travels through there. And he's a Buddhist monk. And he was there the same time last year as me. And so that's so each year they only have 2 monks come through, and then we come through on the day that they're celebrating being open another year. Yeah, it's really fun. So I stopped back by there this year, and that was really interesting. It was fun. It was good to see everybody again. So the only thing in addition to this blog entry is for someone who's doing this type of journey, it's just a mental note. And I started noticing this. Energetically, in the day or two leading up to an event, my energy system would start feeling super packed and somewhat a bit uncomfortable. And after the event, there's still a bit of extra energy left over, but I've realized that was Rādhā and Krishna pushing a bunch of extra energy into my system for those events, for it to go to the people there. And so what would happen is I would just be uncomfortable, and I couldn't figure out why, because the day before I wasn't really doing anything different. So it took me a while to figure out that was Rādhā and Krishna putting more energy in my system for that. Yeah. So whenever you go to do an event, if you do them, and if you travel, and if you work with people, and you go to talk in front of people and things like that, a day or two before, it could just be God putting more energy in your system for what you're going to be doing. So I was going to make a note of that and mention it as well. So the next blog entry was blog entry 166 from February 9th of 2025. As you grow in your relationship with Krishna, you also grow in your spiritual presence and in your ability to connect with everyone around you and everything, which is interesting. Early on, I noticed that when I reached certain levels of growth, the angels would help steady my mood. If it began to shift toward frustration, I could feel how even small changes in my energy affected everything around me. Yesterday, I was speaking with someone who was far more advanced than me, and we were discussing something, and the person got a bit frustrated, and even though I occasionally stopped listening or even muted the phone because it was so intense, their energy was so powerful. It's still I don't know, it was interesting. It just came through me and around, I could just feel it. It was just so much Shakti on many levels at once. It was a vivid reminder that as we grow spiritually, our presence impacts everything around us, often in ways that we might not immediately perceive. The lesson is clear. As we advance on the path, we must remain mindful of how our energy and actions influence the world around us, because literally everything is touched by our presence. And so as you grow closer and closer to Rādhā and Krishna, and as you have more and more of Rādhā and Krishna's energy and presence with you, you grow in your connectedness and how much you feel everything around you and everything around you feels you. And it's really wild, and it's amazing resting into the bliss, and it's like the oneness that everyone rests into, but it's the person Rādhā and the person Krishna, so it's more held, and it's softer, and so loving. It's incredibly loving, because you don't have to worry. In the oneness, and in a lot of meditations that are more on the impersonal side, where you're going through the different levels of energy and reality, and you're exploring that aspect of things, you have to be cautious and always watching for lower vibrational energies or threats or possible problems. And what's amazing with as you grow in relationship with Rādhā and Krishna, it's just held so much. You don't have to think about that. You really can just rest into it, even on those planes and even on that level, and you can really just relax all the way down to a soul level. It takes work, because what you have to get used to is relaxing that deeply while also being in a human body and connecting with Rādhā and Krishna in that way. So it can still be challenging to relax that deeply, but that's the thing, is it's possible, and you don't really have to worry, and you don't have to stress, and you really can just go with that divine flow and loving feeling of heldness with Rādhā and Krishna in that way. So it's really interesting. It makes me think of the quote from, quoting in the Gita, where it talks about surrender, when in reality the translation of the word surrender is come to my shelter. So if you're thinking about this aspect of it, right? So we have meditating on the impersonal, and that seems like we're free and we're in charge and we get to do whatever we want. And why would we want another being like Rādhā and Krishna involved in this? Why would we do that? And it's really wild, because it triggers the ego and it hits the material mind and ego in that way. But the reality of it is, you still have to do so much that isn't necessary on the connecting in love and relationship with Rādhā and Krishna, because all of those capacities and abilities come, but you don't have to worry, and you're just safe, and you're just loved, and you're just protected on all levels. It's really profound, and it really is taking the shelter of Rādhā and Krishna, and it isn't like some type of robotic action or emptiness, or I don't know, getting hooked to some kind of spiritual harness or something weird. It really is love, and it really is relationship, and it really is beautiful and amazing and incredible, and it's real deep. It's as deep as you want to go, and as broad and as vast, and held every step of the way in love. It's amazing. Okay, well, that's all I got for today. All right, well, thank you for tuning in. have a great rest of your day. If you have a chance, check out the books. If you're in the Dallas area, stop by one of these events. That would be awesome. It'd be great to visit and say Rādhā, Rādhā. And have a great rest of your day. Rādhā, 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 Rādhā. Rādhā, 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 Rādhā.